Hey, it's Webs here, and it's time to go around the merry-go-round one more time with a deck that shockingly works, Silas Questline Warlock. This variant of Questline Warlock looks to use the remnants of D6 Warlock, which gives you some type of alternate win condition in case you don't pull off the winning combination, or if you use Stealer of Souls in combination with Free Emission, sometimes you can discount your entire combo by at least 7 by drawing into Silas off of. This enables Silas to be almost a one card step completer for your questline, which is really good as a backup plan. For mulligans, you usually don't want to keep any of your combo pieces in your opening hand because you want to try to discount them with free emissions if they're the demons, aka the artificers, or you want to try to get Stealer of Souls in order to make it where they cost HP instead of mana, thus allowing you to enable the combo more quickly. You want to keep some type of early game removal if you're going against something that you think is going to be more of a control matchup. Don't worry about keeping School Spirits, but if you're facing something that is an aggro matchup, School Spirits is always something you want to look for. Cards that are also good to keep in your opening hand are cards such as Free Emission or Backfire, just because you'll draw a bunch of cards. Because you have so much draw power in this deck, you don't really honestly need to worry about keeping certain cards here and there, unlike the other Silas combos, so thus you have a much more relaxed mulligan than most of the other decks that I've shown off on this channel. With that being said, let's get into the games. Alright, time for game 1 against Shaman. In this matchup, it's probably best to try to look for School Spirits, which we actually did find, which is great. We also have a touch of the Nathrezim, which will allow us to survive a little bit longer. Only thing that would make this actually better is if we had some type of draw power, but we do have our hero power, so no biggie, I guess. Drawing into a Stealer of Souls, which is not good. Unstable Shadow Blast, which is actually pretty good in this type of matchup. Maybe not as much against Questline Shaman, but still overall. Trying to do an Artificer this early, that kind of is depressing. So they're going to play their 2-3, where no matter what we can get rid of it. Just depends on what we want to actually use here, to be honest. Trying to our second School Spirit. I guess that's actually pretty good, just because it gives us more survivability. Drawing into an Overload card. It's actually kind of cool that Overload cards are actually seeing play now, but at the same time, Questline Shaman is kind of annoying to play against. Okay, so we can use our School Spirits comboed out with a Mortal Coil if we really felt like it, but I guess we didn't. Drawing into a Rod, which is actually pretty good, just because we have a few combo pieces that we want to discount here. So here we're probably going to actually have to use one of our Artificers in order to clear the board, sadly. Or we could actually use both School Spirits, I guess. That actually works too. And this game, I think, is actually from before I cut the Dark Glares for the Grey's Dead, which is why I actually went for that play instead. Going to heal a little bit from the quest line. If we complete it, never mind. We are getting dangerously low though. It's kind of scary. Drawing into a Drained Soul. Now, we probably didn't actually have to play that. I wanted to draw an additional card here. Healing up for a bit more. That's good. Drawing into Free Emissions, which next turn is completely online. And then discounting our entire hand. So next turn we have Stealer of Souls into Free Emission and a Hero Power, which will discount our entire hand again. They're going to kill the Artificer, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is. We're going to play the Stealer of Souls into Free Emission, getting a Dark Glare, and the second Artificer, which is great. We're going to play the Dark Glare, Hero Power, complete our step of our quest, discount everything. Going to use the 0 mana, though the play there might have been actually to use the Dark Glare with the Soul Surge, but oh well, or Soul Shear, I guess. Our hand isn't actually looking too terrible. We did put a bunch of units that they all will want to kill instantly. So that's kind of scary. Oh, and that's the absolute worst that we could have actually gotten. To be honest, that's a card that I forget actually exists until shit like this happens, and that's also the second worst thing that they could have gotten. Trying to free a mission. Going to draw 2 minions, Stealer of Souls, and the Ashen Tongue. All we need is the Silas. Literally all we need. I should have actually hit face there. There's the Silas. Next turn, if we can duplicate one of the Artificers, we should win the game actually. So we might want to deal with the Slugger before we actually play any minions on board. We don't want them to heal up for anything. Trying to a Touch of the Nathrezim. Part of the cards. Please give us Philosophy. Backfire is just as good, actually. We'll draw 3 cards here and then be able to discount the entire hand. And really the only thing in our hand that actually costs anything for the combo. There's the Philosophy. So we just win. Going to steal their taunt too. And this is going to be perfect lethal with 3. Alright, time for game 2 against Mage. This opening hand isn't the worst in the world, and honestly better than what we probably could be doing if it is Questline. Because we don't want to have a bunch of removal tools if they're not going to play any minions. Trying to Stealer of Souls. And at this point, I'm starting to realize my graphics are actually screwed up from switching the resolution. So I just reboot the game. We do know though it is now Questline, so we can start playing around that. The cool news though is our Stealer of Soul is actually more online than before. Though the School Spirits is dead, probably for this matchup. Trying to a Artificer, actually our second Artificer, so thus our 3 emissions are kind of dead at this point, sadly. Just going to pass the turn. Just going to use the Demonic Soul to try to trigger a counter spell if it was that, which is going to be kind of weird to use just because the minions that we're going to have dead are probably mostly the Voidwalkers. So these 2 cards actually have like anti-synergy if you're trying to save your Artificers for later. Sadly, we're actually helping them complete their questline here just because we had the 2 minions out on board, but we didn't want to fill up our hand with useless cards. Next turn, we should use Stealer of Souls plus the Backfire in order to draw a bunch of cards, but we also want to be careful with what we're doing. Because can you imagine a mage getting Stealer of Souls from us? This game really is just us trying to complete our quest lines, but kind of failing at doing so. Getting the second rod isn't bad. Getting the free emission is really, really good. Getting the Stealer of Souls we don't actually really care about, but we have it, I guess. Going to heal a little bit. Should have used the rod actually here before drawing with free emissions. Drawing into the Silas, which is our combo, and into our other combo piece, which is great news for us. But we don't really have any way to finish our combo this turn, sadly. But what are the chances they can do 21 damage to face and kill us in this turn, right? Oh, we are actually missing the 2 philosophies for the complete combo. But at the current moment, as long as we draw into 1, we're actually pretty good. Sure, kill the Stealer of Souls. I don't really care at this point. Second free emission. Interesting. Going to play the Stealer of Souls. Draw Philosophy, which is exactly what we needed. Funnily enough, we can actually complete both our questline reward and our quests in the same turn. And throughout all the games that I've actually played, I think I've only completed this once. I almost completed it twice because I milled the questline reward, sadly. But we can do like 96 damage right here. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss how well the deck did and why I built the deck the way I did. So overall, the deck actually performed incredibly well. Within the first night of testing, the first 2 games that I actually played, I pulled off the combo to much of my surprise. I honestly expected it to take like 20-ish games to even pull it off once, but you end up pulling off the combo about 40% of the time overall, which is actually incredibly good and probably actually more consistent than the warrior variant of Silas Otk, which is kind of a shock because I don't think I've ever seen someone try to shove Silas into Warlock, even though Stealer of Souls before it was nerfed would have made this combo incredibly strong, where you would have just been able to do it way more consistently. The 2 additional mana on this does kind of hurt the deck, sadly, but because of free emission, you usually do get it back to where it was before, and sometimes you'll be able to just combo this out on like turn 9 with the free emission to get Silas, or even 2 artificers off of free emission, which is incredibly good because then you can duplicate them both with philosophy, so you have 4 0 cost, and all you really need for your combo is Silas plus any of your 2 cost mana spells that do damage, and the Shadow Tongue, which is perfect. It's much easier to pull off than the priest combo, which was a nightmare to actually try to do. Late addition to this deck that I included was the Raise Dead. This card I would honestly maybe not include if you want to go more down a consistent route with the free emission discounts. A perfectly fine card to include in this deck and closer to the original D6 list. But the reason why I included Raise Dead over the Dark Layers in the end was because then you can actually play your Artificers without worrying about not having enough of them to actually pull off the combo and having to rely on your questline. I would probably say the most awkward card to use is Stealer of Souls though, mainly just because of its mana cost. There are a lot of times where you want to play this early game, but you know your opponent's going to instantly deal with it. But there are times where you know your opponent can't actually instantly deal with this Stealer of Souls, thus you just play it a turn before you go off with either your free emissions or backfire. If you get a combination of Stealer of Souls plus backfire or free emissions, you basically complete your quest no matter what, so you always will have a backup plan there. If you get a free emissions plus Stealer of Souls, you're also going to have your combo no matter what. You just need to draw into like the remaining pieces if they're the artificers or the 1 damaging spell that you're actually using. The only damaging spell that I would not use to try to do the full combo is the Touch of the Nathrezim. This card only does 2 damage baseline, so thus it doesn't scale as fast as some of the other ones. If you have your questline actually completed, there are some times, such as I've shown off in one of these games, where there's a really funny like 96 damage that you can do to your opponent using this card. But for the most part, you're not going to want to use it with your combo. You're going to end up killing yourself if you do. I will say though, this isn't the first time I try to make this deck work. I did try to make a soul variant work, but because of the extra cards in the deck, the combo wasn't consistent enough, and I didn't think Soul Warlock was fast enough for this actually to become a functional deck. I don't know why I thought of the questline randomly when I was retesting this deck out, but I'm glad I did because honestly this was one of the most fun I've had in a while testing out a deck. So if you want a unique Warlock deck and you liked questline but you're kind of sad it's gone, try this out. It's actually shockingly more consistent than you would ever expect. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and a comment down below. And until next time, bye bye.